The Legend of Zelda is one of Nintendo's most beloved franchises of all time. Tons of classic games were made, but as they continued to be made, people started to ponder the chronological placement of such titles. But by trying to do so, it seemed like impossible math equations would be a lot easier. Throughout the years, Nintendo officials were asked several times about confirmation of Zelda's timeline, and the answers were always kind of gray, and it left even the most diehard Zelda fans with headaches. Until now. With the recent release of Hyrule Historia, an encyclopedia of Zelda history, facts, and knowledge, an official timeline has finally been released, to the joy of diehard Zelda fans. And even though answers have been given, there's just as many questions now as there was before. The Legend of Zelda Timeline has officially been revealed to have a main timeline along with 3 possible timeline splits that are separate from each other. Previously, the timeline had been theorized to have been just 2 timelines, but now we can clearly see that it is entirely different than popular belief. Let's take a look at the main timeline. The first game in the series is Skyward Sword. An obvious choice, because the ending of this game sets up the origins of Ganon, the Master Sword, and the bond between the 3 pieces of the Triforce between Link, Zelda, and Ganon. The game is then followed by the Minish Cap, which came out for the Game Boy Advance, and 4 Swords, which was an add-on to the Link to the Past release for the Game Boy Advance. And this all leads us to Ocarina of Time, which came out for the Nintendo 64. These 4 games make up the main timeline of the series, and is the only direct, chronologically correct sequence of games in the timeline. Due to the ending of Ocarina of Time, the timeline has split into 3 possible separate scenarios. Let's take a look at split number 1. This is where Link defeats Ganon and goes back to the past 7 years ago to continue his life as a child. The events of Majora's Mask naturally occur afterwards, which are followed by Twilight Princess, which takes place centuries later, where in the storyline, Ganon was banished to the Twilight Realm after the events of Ocarina of Time. And this game is also followed by 4 Swords Adventures, which reveals a little bit more of a backstory of Ganon's origins. These 3 games make up the timeline continued from the timeline that child Link would have lived in, not adult Link, so these game storylines wouldn't affect adult Link in any way. Split number 2. Link defeats Ganon and leaves to the past to continue life as a child. But the timeline he leaves in the future goes on without him, parallel to the childhood timeline. Hundreds of years pass, and without a hero, Ganon manages to break the seal he was stuck in. Hyrule is then flooded as a last-ditch effort to stop him, which leads us to Wind Waker. The opening scene in Wind Waker confirms that, after the Hero of Time defeated the evil Lord, he disappeared. Hundreds of years later, when the evil managed to break the seal, the hero was nowhere to be found. And that's because adult Link no longer existed in that timeline. Link went back to the past to live as a child. This timeline belongs to the Hero of Winds, who is a separate hero than the Hero of Time. Wind Waker's events then led up to Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, which were both on the DS. As mentioned, these 3 games take place in the timeline that the Hero of Time left behind. Split number 3. Link fails to defeat Ganondorf in Ocarina of Time. This timeline is the one that seems to confuse most people, because the ending of Ocarina of Time may lead you to believe that the Hero of Time did not fail. However, keep in mind that just because you haven't witnessed it in the game doesn't mean that this timeline couldn't exist. And plus, the hero can't win every time. Link getting killed leads us to the little known about imprisoned in war that is mentioned in the introduction to A Link to the Past. It explains what occurs next is that the 7 sages have to imprison Ganon in the Sacred Realm after he gets the Triforce, which becomes the dark world that he creates, thus leading to the events of A Link to the Past. A Link to the Past is then followed by Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, which came out for the Game Boy. Afterwards, Link's Awakening occurs in the timeline, followed by the original Legend of Zelda game for the NES, and Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, where you awaken the true Princess Zelda, who has been placed under a deep sleep. This timeline obviously features the majority of the classic games in the series, which might have been Nintendo's plan all along. Who knows? Now that the timeline has officially been released and shown to everyone, there's still going to be questions and answers left untold. But personally, I think that's the beauty of it. To me, the most exciting thing is wondering what exactly is next for the series. Are the 3 split timelines going to continue each separately? Or is Nintendo going to eventually unite all 3 back into one single timeline? The Legend of Zelda continues to be told. Hey guys, you like this video? Be sure to check out my other videos here, and also subscribe. Thanks a lot. This is 8-Bit Eric, and I hope you have a nice day. Peace.